Hey there, friends. Welcome to your monthly forecast reading for the month of April 2025. I'm very excited for this month ahead. Looks like a lot of transformative, creative energy coming in, possibly some new love interests, the types of things that like the types of people and connections that can transform your life. Not very many places where there are hiccups or like big challenges, aside from growing pains, aside from sort of getting your feet underneath you as you're kind of blooming. So this looks like a very exciting month ahead. If you haven't subscribed, please do so down below. You'll learn more about these readings as well as upcoming events and workshops that are more oriented towards my career, my real sort of path, which is helping people align more deeply with their higher selves, but in a way that also takes into account the rest of their life. So that takes into account some of our developmental trauma and some of our relational elements, but aligning those pieces with higher energy and higher intention. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already and enjoy this month's forecast reading. Take good care. Hey there, friends. So, wherever you happen to be right now, give yourself a moment to take a few deep breaths. Let your awareness drop down into the sensations of your body. You might notice the support of the planet beneath you. And then maybe bringing some attention into your heart space. All right. I'm sitting with the doors open right now. It's such a beautiful day here in Colorado, but you can hear the train in the background. And I also hear somebody doing some raking. So if it gets too loud, I might have to get up and close the door. So just a forewarning. Anyways, we call out to Mother, Father, God, the denizens of light, the deep ones, the rooted ones. Call out to the grandmothers and the grandfathers of the north, the south, the east, and the west. Please be with us now. Bring forward a clear message and the right energies for those that are listening, whenever it is that they happen to be listening. Thank you. All right. So we are doing our forecast reading for the month of April. And as we've done in the past, you'll use your intuition to choose one of the cards here. So taking a moment just to feel into each of the options before you, maybe noticing if one of them is calling to you more than the others. It's not necessarily that it's only one card, but certainly there's probably a more precise message in one of them. So once you've determined which card your intuition is calling you to, feel free to skip ahead. Maybe someday I'll figure out how to put the little hyperlinks, but for now you can skip ahead. And we're going to start with the first option underneath the cube here. So for those of you that chose the first card, this is going to be your reading for the month of April. And I'm just going to clear these cards a little bit more. I don't know how other readers feel it, but there's sort of a thickness sometimes in the cards when there's a bit of extra energy in them. And so I like to make sure that they're nice and clear before we step into this kind of reading and this kind of work. All right, so for those of you that chose the first card, this will be your reading for the month of April. Let me just tune into you for a second. Those that will choose the first card. All right. Somebody asked me if I was vaping when you hear that sound. That's me breathing out with a little bit of friction. It's just part of my clearing process. Um, yeah, so I'm not vaping. I'm clearing the cards. So first card is going to be your situation card. This is going to be the overall situation for the month ahead, the process of learning that you're going through, and some of the circumstances that might be surrounding that. We've got our obstacle card, which is sort of the reciprocal energy to that growth process. These can be things that are getting in the way or challenges that are showing up for you. And the final card will be the outcome card for the month of April, giving us a sense of sort of the overall outcome and maybe some of the energies as you're stepping into the month to follow. Up above, you'll have your advice card underneath our little cube friend here. So let's start with our situation card for the month of April. Situation card is showing up as our beautiful 10 of Cups. This is the pinnacle of the relational qualities, like joy through relationship, through connection, through feeling harmonious with others, feeling connected to your environment, just a lot of joy. So this is pretty exciting. For those of us that are in the northern hemisphere, we're stepping into our springtime, which definitely has this quality. Everything is beginning to bloom and bud, and there's new energy and a lot of celebration and playfulness. So you can definitely expect some of this. Now, this can also be a sign that your relationships are maybe feeling like they're going in a really good direction. It could feel like friendships are feeling really connected and good. All around a pretty positive, awesome card. Let's see what kind of obstacles might be getting in the way of or pushing up against this particular energy for your month of April. Great card. Probably one of my favorites in terms of the type of obstacles. This is the 7 of Cups, and this is a card that kind of speaks to lots of different possibilities and options, and maybe sort of a quality of being distracted. In particular, that's the element that I'm feeling with this right now, is like with this joy, with this enjoyment, with this kind of abundance and vitality that's coming in. Some people, it's like that's almost too much, and they get kind of distracted into all kinds of different things. You know, if our homeostasis is one that is kind of not feeling like there's enough, or maybe a little bit negative oriented in that sort of capacity, then when things start feeling really good, there can be this tendency to sort of go back to or move towards things that have a bit more drama involved with them. So this month it's going to be important not to get overly lost in the drama that might be around. This is also a card of not getting scammed. It's a card of watching out for things that are too good to be true. Particularly when things are really going in a good direction and they feel good, you want to be careful about the sort of snake oil promises that are out there. The situations where things are, you can just tell that there's something a bit off, but for some reason you want a little bit more, a little bit extra. So it's a good month also to be careful around asking for more than you really need, this kind of undercurrent of greed, or this undercurrent of feeling like you need more. So watching out for those qualities. Really what you want to be doing is reaching for these higher values, particularly when things are going well. What a great time to be speaking out your gratitudes, your thankfulness, giving back, celebrating the people in your life who have supported you. These types of higher values will be only sort of doubled when you are going through a really positive time in your life, if you're giving back and you're aligning with those good things. Let's take a look at your outcome card for the month of April. So for those of you that are single, I would say that this is a pretty good sign. It's not 100%, This card has both sort of an external value to it or possibility, as well as an internal value, which is kind of the quality of most of the cards. But particularly with this Ten of Cups as the situation card, it wouldn't surprise me all too much if you started to make some new friends or started to connect with some new people, and as a result of feeling more open, feeling more aligned in yourself and more joyful in yourself, you attract a new connection into your life. The Two of Cups can be a romantic connection. It can be a really deep, yummy, soulful type of connection with somebody. This can also potentially be a friendship. It can be somebody that you just see eye to eye with and you want to create something together. That's what our alchemical symbol up here, the red lion with wings, is alchemical symbol of creativity, of passionate movement forward, that yummy eros of creative energy happening. And yeah, so there's a high possibility of meeting somebody. There's a possibility of whether that's romantic or friendship oriented. This can also just be a sort of balancing out internally, which isn't too surprising. The Ten of Cups is like you've found what you're looking for. Something in your system can finally relax because you've found what it is that you've been looking for. And as a result, there's a deep balancing that can happen. So for those of you that chose this first card for the month of April, this is a pretty positive piece. The advice card that's showing up for this month is step into your leadership power, step into your visionary power. So not only is there this deep connection element that's showing up, but as a result, you're able to see into the future a bit more. You're able to bring all your creative energy to bear. So this is a very mature representation of your creative power, the King of Wands, and it's saying, start to connect with. It's kind of like there's different stages. When we're creating sort of at a less mature level, we're creating just for ourselves. And then maybe we start to include some of the people that we really care about. And then there comes a point where we start to include the entire world and the entire cosmos in our process of creation. So this is a deeper level. What is it that you're here to give that's benefiting the highest number of people and maybe the cosmos themselves? So I hope this is helpful for those of you that chose the first card. Thanks so much for tuning in with me. Let's just put these pieces back here. All right, so now we're going to move into our second card. Those of you that chose this second option, this will be your reading for the month of April. Just going to tune in with you now. All right. So first card is going to be your situation card, really representing the overall themes of this next month, what you're growing into, what you'll be experiencing. Second card will be the obstacle card, pushing against some of these growth patterns, maybe getting in the way of you in one way or another. And our final card will be the outcome card, giving us sort of an overall outcome of what's coming through for you in this month and maybe some of the energies for the next month. Up above is our situation card. All right. It appears my camera is slightly tilted, so I keep reorganizing these. So anyways, let's take a look to start with our situation for the month of April. This feels like such a positive sign to me. Really powerful major arcana card showing up here. Okay, so the old battery dying on me act. So back to this. Very positive major arcana card showing up here for the month of April. The World card is the final card in the tarot deck. This tends to be a sign that you're completing some important journey, some chapter in your life or some epoch. Now this could be something more tangible like finishing up school or finishing up an important project or the sort of healthy and necessary end to a relationship. On the other side, this can be more of like an internal transformation. You've gone through maybe a certain set of challenges or a certain phase in your life, and now you're moving into something different. One way or another, it's kind of like graduation day. It's a pretty positive movement forward. There can be a little bit of looking back on what's happened in the past period of time, whether that was months or years or even decades in some cases. It also can start to feel like you're stepping into something new. There's some excitement that there's like a new area or a new space in your life for something fresh to come in. Regardless, it's definitely a time of celebration. It can also be a time where you're feeling particularly whole, particularly connected with all parts of yourself. So this is looking like a pretty important month for those of you that chose this second card. Let's take a look at what's pushing against the World card. What might be creating a little bit of trouble for you? And this is super interesting. I would say that these two, when they are both in positive areas in the reading, are very similar. They've got this quality of wholeness, of maybe even some feminine elements there, completion. I guess we would say that the Empress has a little bit more of like closer to the beginning portions of the journey. She's often considered to be in her first trimester of pregnancy. It's kind of a little bit more that spring energy, but let's talk about her as an obstacle. The Empress as an obstacle means that things could feel a little bit scattered or chaotic. You might feel more comfortable in your own process with the beginning phases when something has just gotten off the ground and is starting to roll forward or is starting to move, than the ending phases where we're in the process of letting go. So it's going to be important for you to do a little bit of work around releasing and letting go and coming to conclusion. There are certainly people that kind of skip one of the phases in the sort of growth and birthing process of a project or a phase in their life, where rather than allowing themselves to feel the part where they're losing something, they're letting go of something, something's coming to the end, they kind of get to the place where they would start to let go and they just hop into something else. So be sure to give yourself the space and time to process what it is that you're letting go of in this month. You might notice that you're a little bit erratic or a little bit emotional. It's hard to sort of get things organized. You're feeling a bit scattered or misdirected, and that's totally natural. When one phase is ending and there's sort of this in-between place, often called the bardo when it comes to lifetimes, there's kind of this, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's important to give yourself space to accept or be with the uncertainty of, will it start again? It's kind of like if we let the sun go down and then we're a bit frightened through the night and we're not sure if it's actually going to rise again. Trust me, it will rise again. The next project will show up. The next thing that's going to happen is going to show up. Give yourself some space to be with the not knowing. Let's take a look at the outcome for the month of April. Holy mackerel. So 3 major arcana cards in this particular reading. Those of you that are choosing this particular reading, this is going to be a pretty profound month for you. And in particular, here we have it, the Lovers card. So it is possible that this is referencing somebody that you're going to meet, somebody that would be, a soulmate type of character or a twin flame type of character. Like, it has that level of creative energy. That's one way of interpreting this. Some of you might know that that's the case. Those of you that are intuitive, you might be like, right, it's that time, here we go. The other thing that this could be speaking to is ending one part of your creative function, something that you've been working on, a career or a focus in your life, and you're now heading into your thing, your unique expression in this life, your unique calling in this lifetime. The Lover's card is about your unique signature, the song of your soul being played through you. This is like a deep calling, and it can be the type of thing that shows up And there's a little bit of fear or resistance because you'd be saying yes to something that only you know is going to happen, that only you know is true and right for you. So this is a very creative, energizing card. Talk about a creative and energizing month for you. I would say that there's a likelihood of a sense of revolution. This wouldn't be too it wouldn't be too far-fetched for some of you to be having what I call soul infusions or Kundalini expansions. There's a lot of that kind of energy that I see here, sort of the feminine representation of the awakening and expansive piece. If you need help with something like that, you know who to reach out to. Yeah, don't hesitate. So let's take a look at the advice for, wow, another major arcana card. So advice for the month ahead is to allow yourself to be in beginner's mind. So allowing yourself to sort of rest in the not knowing and be led by your spirit. These stars up above really represent the higher self, and she's able to actually receive their information because she's not being a know-it-all. She's not being the expert. She's being the one that's willing to listen and to follow and to learn from the process itself. All right, so for those of you that chose the second card, that's your reading for the month of April. Pretty juicy. Thanks so much for tuning in with me, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Take good care. All right. So we're going to move into our final card here. So for those of you that chose this final card, this will be your reading for the month of April. And I'm just pausing for a second, and I can hear somebody just turned on a lawnmower. You can see. I think we're gonna risk it, and I'm gonna start this. And if I need to, I might have to go close the doors and windows to save our sound. But let's start with this. I'm gonna tune in with those of you that will choose the third option. This will be your reading for the month of April. I can hear it coming. Okay, bear with me for a second. I'm gonna go close the doors. All right, that was quick. I've got my tiny little office here. So, those of you that chose the third option, all right, so first card is going to be your situation card, overall sort of themes for the month ahead. Second card is the obstacle card, pushing up against some of those themes and the trajectory of your growth, maybe the obstacles or things that are getting in the way. And final card is your outcome card, giving us sort of an overall sense of what's coming through this particular month and maybe into the next month. And then up above, we've got our advice card. So let's jump right on in. All right, first card will be our situation card for the month of April. We've got our Knight of Wands showing up. This could be a very energizing, passionate, maybe a little chaotic, but certainly like adventurous month ahead. I've already said this, but up in the northern hemisphere, we're entering into spring. This has that sort of spring energy, very young, out there, energizing, ready for the next thing type of situation and character. Now, the Knight of Wands with this creative energy is a little bit younger, a little bit less mature than the King, and so it can sometimes be spontaneous in a way that it gets him into trouble, like more of an impulsiveness. Not necessarily negative. I think that this is a really yummy energy, but it's just good to know that sometimes it can get a bit wild, and it's good to be careful with that. You can see he's getting ready to charge forward. So I would just say remembering to keep your feet grounded and your wits about you, even if you're like, you know what, I am going to charge forward. Let's take a look at the obstacle card. So this is exactly the type of situation here, the Eight of Swords, where you're going to want to be particularly careful with this, because with the Eight of Swords, where there's a sense of being trapped or stuck or really lost in your mind or in your anxiety, the Knight of Wands can come out as anger, it can come out as addictive tendencies, it can come out as like trying to escape something. And when things are really stuck, it's rarely is it going to turn out super well if you just fight against that and try to break through it. You might find some respite or some safety in the short term if you do that, but it can also kind of re-traumatize us and get us even more stuck. The Eight of Swords is kind of like the classical Chinese finger trap, the one where it's like you can't get out of it, and what you actually have to do is move towards the stuckness, and that's what starts to get you out, which means going towards the feelings of uncertainty, going towards the fear, and actually feeling those things. There's nothing quite as powerful and yet somehow challenging as sitting in a quiet room and feeling what you're feeling. But doing so can really open the door and get things moving again. Let's take a look at your outcome card for the month of April. Hallelujah, hallelujah, some rest and some relaxation. So it could feel a little bit like sticky, painful, maybe a little bit herky-jerky at the start of this month. When you start to be willing to look at what it is that maybe you're sort of running away from or you're trying to sort of get out of, as soon as you turn towards that, you're probably going to start to get to experience this Four of Swords, which is like rest, relaxation, deeper alignment with yourself, connection with yourself spiritually, deeper knowing about what you're here for. And this is just kind of a principle when it comes to our own healing and transformation work. You know, you've probably heard it 1,000 times, what you resist persists. So as long as we've got these parts of ourselves and we're sort of creating a wall and pushing against them, there's all this tension up against a part of yourself. As soon as you start to let that in, you can begin to integrate it and movement can begin to happen again. It seems to me that this could be a powerful sort of alchemical month for you in that learning process of feeling stuck, wanting to get this energy moving, and then finally learning to turn towards it and getting some of this deeper peace. Let's take a look at your advice card for the month of April. This is great. So another younger version of the wands representation here, but this is saying stay adaptive, stay creative, be playful with it. Don't get overly serious with this type of situation. Let yourself be a little bit silly, a little bit fun. You have more regenerative capacity than you might think. Let yourself be, if you need to sort of move energy and get things going, maybe go dance, go play, dress up as somebody else. Let yourself shake your body, move your body. And know that you have a lot of regenerative capacity. So even though things might feel a little bit sticky right now, you have the ability to really resurrect, regenerate, and come back into a good place, which I think you're definitely going to experience by the month's end. So I hope this is helpful for those of you that chose the third option, and for everybody else, thanks so much for tuning in with me. Really appreciate getting to connect with you now, and you'll be seeing more of me soon. Take good care.